Okay? So who here today has a fear about creating content? Okay.
Wow. More people than listen to our podcast. Maybe you guys should go listen to it and you'll help conquer those
Go to the
fears.
next one. All right, who has the fear? Raise your hand again. You raise your hand. What's your biggest fear about creating content?
I was just say one of them is I always just think I should be doing something else like building a business, not a podcast.
Okay.
Fear that it's a waste of time?
Yeah, just like I should be doing deals instead of a podcast.
All right, who else?
For me, I tend to then just like get sucked in, like put out content, and then I feel like I have to like help everyone and answer everyone's questions and follow up with comments, and like next thing you know, like 3 or 4 hours goes by and I'm right back to that. Like I could have put so much time into doing X, Y, or Z for my business, but I got sucked into all this.
So it's the fear of you could have done something more impactful for your business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something along those lines? Anybody else? One more person?
Yeah, I think for me, probably the deep down fear is that I worry more about like the small percentage or off chance that somebody would think that I'm full of shit or something, versus like
Fear of what other people are going to think about you, right? Okay. So this is something that we live by, okay? Fear is the false evidence appearing real, okay? So I'm here to tell you, Cassie's here to tell you that those fears, you got to put them aside. Now, obviously, wasting time.
You have to be good at time management.
Yeah, you still have to have time management. We're going to talk about that today. But putting the fear of what someone else is going to think, like, hey, I'm full of shit, like, forget that, okay? We're going to show you some examples today as to why you should believe that, okay?
Everybody fears that, by the way, though. Fear of judgment, like that's in everything that you are ever going to do.
So we're here to build your influence, okay? Specifically, we're talking about using a podcast, but I'm going to make it more broad about building your influence across the board, okay? What is an influence? It's the power or capacity of causing an effect in an indirect or intangible ways, all right? My thoughts on this, it's very simple. I'm not intelligent enough to decipher what that definition means, so I just break it down. Someone needs to hear your voice, okay? Somebody out there today does not know what you think is simple common knowledge, okay? And it's actually our responsibility to share that knowledge that we have, okay? Because if we don't share the knowledge that we have today, if nobody else had ever shared how to be a real estate investor or a wholesaler or a flipper, you wouldn't be sitting in this room today, right?
The way I always tell people is, like, if I didn't have somebody to ask questions to, if I didn't have somebody to listen to, we would never have gotten where we were.
Absolutely. So just think about that all the time, is that someone needs to hear your voice. Especially you. You have 7,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? There's people out there that get so much value from the content that you bring about how to raise private capital, myself included. So someone needs to hear your voice all the time. It's not a waste of time. You're impacting other people. So 4 weeks after we started the podcast, Cassie and I attended our first mastermind in Fresno, California. So this is September 2017.
Our first mastermind was that, which blows me away.
Believe it or not, this is actually when I had hair. This is my big old head right here, okay? This is in Fresno, California, and Cassie and I, we didn't know what a mastermind was. We didn't know what to expect. And we walked into this room, and a gentleman walked right up to me, and he said, "Dude, you're RJ Bates. I listen to your podcast every Friday." Friday, very key, right? Greg, you brought that up earlier. People expect it Tuesday, Thursday. I made it where I release my podcast every Friday. He said, "I listen to you every Friday." And I said, "That's amazing, man, that you've done that for the past 4 weeks." It's only been 4 weeks, but I said, "You're the first person that has literally told me you listen to my podcast, so that's amazing."
That's a habit at that point, guys.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right. So that was a cool moment for me. He's actually not pictured in this picture, but I was trying to find a picture of us together, But as I was looking at this, I really wanted to show you guys this picture. It gave me goosebumps because what I realized while looking at this, in this moment, I'm speaking to this room, okay? I'm sharing what knowledge or whatever I'm talking about right now with this room. Look at the different reactions of these people in this room, okay? These are some of my really good friends, so I can talk bad about them. Manny over here, he's not buying what RJ's talking about, right? He's distracted. He's like, I gotta go pee, I'm thirsty. But Beto right here, this is my Latin brother right here, dude. We bonded so much. He's the dude, if you've ever heard me tell the story about 100,000 net a month in passive income, anybody heard me tell that story before? Y'all don't listen to the podcast.
Hey, there's a few people that raise their hands.
He was the guy that punched me in the chest and told me, that's your new goal. That's my brother right there. Look at it. He cares what I'm saying right there, right? Ryan Shalaba over here, he's eating it up. This guy, he's condescending. He's like, shut up, young buck. You don't know what you're talking about. This guy, he's in La La Land. He could care less. And what's funny is,
there's Adrian in the corner.
Adrian.
That's the first time we met Adrian. He just
Adrian's
started
in the meeting,
caring.
it's like, who's this RJ guy looking up to see if I have a carrot account or not? So all these people, what's funny is the reactions that they have in this picture actually directly correlate to the relationship that I have with each one of those people 2 years later. Manny and Beto are partners. Beto loves me. I never talk to Manny. Manny loves us.
Manny pops in on the phone every now and then, or he'll shoot us a message saying hi, but it's just different.
The relationship is with Beto. So the reason why I wanted to share this is that when you are sharing content with people, it is going to get a different reaction from each individual person, okay? Don't expect to get a specific response from them. You're building a relationship. You have no idea the kind of impact that you're going to have on these people. I have great relationships with Brian, great relationship with Adrian and Beto, and the other three I don't really have relationships with. Just a coincidence? I don't know. I thought that was a pretty cool little picture though. So Gary Vaynerchuk, Brandon talked about this earlier. This is probably one of my favorite quotes from him. I'm sure you've heard it. The biggest tip when it comes to content creation is document, don't create, okay? And this has made such a huge impact on us, is that for so long, Cassie and I would try to think about, doing something different with the podcast. At first, it was all about just us interviewing other investors. So then it was like, how can we change up a little bit? What could we create? And then once I heard Gary Vee say this, like just document, don't create, we literally document everything that we do now.
So like our podcast, it's grown, but the original intent of the podcast and the why behind it was literally to just give back. Like that's all RJ wanted to do, but he just had a certain way that he wanted to do it. And because he had that in his head and it was like so him and so authentic and so on point, is why it was successful out of the gates. I'm not gonna lie and say it wasn't. I was blown away. I'm like, dude, you are a pro at this. And it comes back to the same thing. Now in all of our content that we do, like this is at the core of it. So this is, I'm sure somebody else has said this, but being authentic is where it's at in your content. You don't have to worry about those fears that you've had. So
we've literally gotten it down to where, I know we're supposed to talk about podcasts, but just some of the other things that we do from the podcast, we created our own Facebook group. In that Facebook group, we literally share everything that we do. Hey, we listed a property today. I go on canva.com, I put a picture of the house, and I just write listed in this font. This is our font. Brandon talked about that earlier. We branded ourselves with the same font, the same colors. I like black. So everything's black and white. He made me wear a black shirt today. I did make her wear a black shirt today. But we literally said, hey, we listed the house today, we sold the house, we bought a house, we refinanced. Just literally sharing what we do, okay? So how can you build your influence? So what I want to challenge you guys is not everybody in this room wants to start a podcast, right? Who here does not want to run a podcast? Right. Awesome. So you don't want to run a podcast, so don't do it. But you still have to get content out to your followers. You have to build an influence. So find a medium, whatever gives you energy. Is it a blog? Is it just Instagram stories? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Whatever it is, find that and own it. Make sure it gives you energy. Make sure it's accessible both for you and for your influence 24/7, that you can easily do it. And last but certainly not least, this is the most important thing. Greg talked about it earlier, and I cannot stress, Jamie talked about it, Brandon did, I cannot stress it enough. Be consistent with it, okay? That's how you gain the traction.
But you can test out what it is. Like, I thought I wanted to be a part of the podcast in the beginning, and then when I saw RJ do it and how he wanted to do it, the interview style that he wanted to do, I'm like, I ain't touching that. You know, you test it out. It might be writing. I love to write. That's my jam. It might be Facebook Lives. It might be any of these other things, but find your version of the podcast for us.
So, find whatever gives you energy, right? Dutch, do you want to have a podcast?
No.
No, you don't. All right, well, come up here, son. This is Dutch Jackson, by the way. Y'all give him a round of applause. Okay? This man right here has inspired me so much because how many deals have you done?
5.
5 deals, okay? This guy has found a way to create an influence for himself by doing something that gives him energy. What are your videos?
I make music, rap videos for investors.
What are the songs?
I got a song called ARV. A song called Bird Dog, and my new hit single, Bandit Signs.
Bandit Signs. I saw Dutch. Yeah, go ahead.
Where did we find these?
Dutch Jackson?
Yeah.
I was emailing you the other day.
Yeah.
What's up? How you doing?
Now, that's a crazy world right there, right? You posted a video in Wholesaling Houses Elite. Why? Because it's got 91,000 people in there, right? And then I see it. I reach out. I say, hey.
He's showing me this. I'm like, no, that's my dude, bro.
I said, who does your videos, bro? Because I'm like, these are good. And I want a videographer. And he says, I do. I engineer it, I produce it, I edit it, I do everything. I said, okay, you're in the video. So how do you do everything yourself? He's like, oh, I just tell the person where to hold the camera and how I want it held. And then I splice it all together. And I said, okay, what do you do? What did I say? What are you doing tomorrow, right?
Right.
So what are you doing tomorrow? He said, I've got an appointment at 11 o'clock. I said, cool, I start at 9. So he said, okay, I'm canceling that. Meeting gets canceled. The next day, we ride around. We go look at all of our flips in Fort Worth. How many videos were you able to create off of it?
About 5.
About 5 videos off of it. We talked about it. I said, look, how much money you need to make. This is how much you need to make a year. Okay, you're gonna make all the videos, you're gonna follow us, you get to go to the $1 million meeting, you get to go to wholesaling, ground zero, drip, all this stuff that we get to speak at because of the podcast, right? Making an impact on this man's life because he's gonna do videos. And then I'll compensate you, we'll pump your leads, you're gonna do acquisitions for us, we're gonna show you how to be a real estate investor. All because he found something that gave him energy, okay? Making videos, getting out there, telling people who he was.
Something
I hope
that
it
sets
changes
his heart
life.
on fire. Yeah. Something
All right.
that's just
Hey, Pizza D dropped 600.